Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. In today's video, we're going to take a look at Cisco Catalyst Center, specifically the network hierarchy and the onboarding of devices. So there's a few ways to onboard your devices. There's more of a brownfield type onboard where those devices may already be in the field and you're essentially going to import them into Catalyst Center or discover them in some fashion. And then the other side of that is more of like a greenfield where it's a plug and play, zero touch, something along those lines. So this will most likely be a part one of two videos, where in today's video we're just going to focus more upon the network hierarchy and then discovering devices that are already out there in the field. In a follow-up video, we'll focus more on plug and play because there's a bit more to that, and we can kind of build upon some concepts when it comes to plug and play. So let me go ahead and share my screen here. So we're looking at a fresh instance of Catalyst Center. So you can see there's not really a whole lot going on. It's basically, a whole lot of zeros, right? No sites built, no devices onboarded, nothing really. Okay. Let me flip over to the Eve and G topology. So what we're looking at here is 4 Catalyst 9 kV switches, and they're all tied via their management interface, gig 00, just to a network cloud. This is the lab subnet. So Catalyst Center actually has an IP address that sits off this same subnet. It's just running on a different VMware host. That's it. These applications, Catalyst Center uses a lot of resources, as do the Catalyst 9 kVs. So I split the two amongst two different ESXi nodes or hosts. So let's go ahead and hop over to Catalyst Center, and let's start with the network hierarchy. Okay, so when we go to Design Network Hierarchy, it brings up the world map, and you can see that I don't have anything in here, right? Again, it's a brand new build. So what we're going to do is we're going to say add a site, and we're going to add an area. Okay, so in my case, I'm based out of the United States, so I'm going to say United States. I'm going to add that area. And then within the United States, I'm going to basically break it down into a state-by-state basis. So I'll say add area, and I'm going to say New York. We'll say add. So under the US, I now have a sub area for New York. Under New York, I'm going to say add a building. So for the building, I'll say 1 Penn Plaza, and that is obviously in New York. So that is a Cisco office. We'll go ahead and say add. And then within the 1 Penn Plaza, we'll go ahead and we'll say add a floor. So I'll say the 9th floor. We'll give it the floor number 9. It's made up of cubes and walled offices, we'll say, right? And here's where you can upload an image or a CAD drawing or an Ekahau survey, whatever you have. And we'll get more into this later when we start to talk about wireless and stuff like that. But for now, I'm going to say upload file. And I'm just going to I just have kind of a one I downloaded off the internet. It's just a bedroom model, whatever. I'm just going to hit open on that, just so you can see the idea here. Okay, so we'll just go and say yes, select, and we'll say add. So once this refreshes, we should see that we now have a area with a sub area, a building, and a floor. And if we look at the floor, we can see that we have a 2-dimensional rendering, or we even can go into a 3-dimensional rendering where when you start to place your access points, you can really kind of get the idea or the feel of how the wireless experience will be for the end users, right? So just want to highlight that Catalyst Center can support 2D or 3D, so that's pretty powerful. Now, we've got a basic hierarchy with, a state, a building, and a floor. So let's go ahead and discuss bringing the devices in and assigning them to these various, areas. So if we go back to our Eve topology, I'm going to go ahead and bring up Cat 9KV1 and 2. And what you can see here is, let me just clear the screen and scroll back. This is a brand new device. It has no configuration on it. Same with O2. So we're going to go ahead and just slap a really basic configuration on there together so you can see that how easy it is, or there's nothing really to it, okay? So it basically is making me go through this base configuration. So I just put in Cisco bang 2 times back to back for each of the passwords. But then you can see I use selection 0, which says just disregard everything I just did. So let's just do the same thing here. And then 0, right? So essentially this just takes us into the command line of the switch. Again, brand new out of the box, nothing on it. So all we need to do is essentially, we're going to give this thing a host name, a basic an IP address on the gig 00 interface, because that's what faces Catalyst Center, okay, based on our topology. And then we're going to give it a username and password and some SNMP. Now I thought what we would do is for switch 1, we'll go ahead and just do SNMP version 2. That way you can get a sense of what that looks like. And then for switch 2, we'll do SNMP v3. And then for switches 3 and 4, we'll do v3, but we'll do a discovery when we add those switches. So we'll do it a couple different ways so you can get a taste of what it looks like. So let's just go ahead and get the IP address information. So I'm just going to copy and paste. I have a little script here. So what I'm doing here is giving it a host name. Then I'm going into 00, giving it an IP address of 11 for switch 1. 12 is going to be switch 2. 13 will be switch 3, and 14 will be switch 4. So easy to remember. Now we're going to just do the SSH version 2, which requires a domain name, keys, and then we're going to hard code SSH version 2. So I've given it a domain name of cisco.com. I said create my keys, and then I said make it version 2. We'll give it a basic username and password. So I'm going to say Mogi, privilege level 15, password Cisco bang 23. All right. We will go into the VTY lines, and we will enable SSH for login local. All right. All right. So last but not least, we're just going to slap on an SNMP, basic SNMP configuration. So in this particular case, we'll do version 2C. So we'll say SNMP server community Cisco bang 23, and that's pretty much it, right? So at this point, if we show run interface gig 00, we have a basic IP address under gig 00, which should ping VRF, management VRF 172.16.11.101, which is Catalyst Center. Okay, so we have reachability to Catalyst Center, so that's perfect. We just configured the SSH and the SNMP, so let's head back to Catalyst Center. And now we're going to go to provision inventory. So we have no devices. We're going to go ahead and we're going to say add a device. And this is what I was saying earlier. So you can do, we're going to add a single device for SNMP v2 right now. The second switch we're going to add as a single device, but version 3. And then the last 2 switches, we're going to do a discovery. You can do, you can import via an Excel spreadsheet. So maybe you have like a network monitoring application that has all your devices in it already. Maybe you can export a flat file like a CSV or whatever, and then you can just basically use that information to import those devices in the Catalyst Center too. So that might be another way that you do it. But in our case, we'll say single device. So I'm going to just hard code 1111. So that's switch 1. We're going to give it the creds that we configured, right? So just Mogi and Cisco Bang 23. For SNMP, we're going to say V2C because that's all we've configured. Cisco Bang 23. Cisco Bang 23. And let's go ahead and say add. So it'll take, a minute or so. We can see that it has reachability on that IP address. It's trying to do the sync. And if we go back to the command line, what we see is login successes from Mogi, from source 11101. So obviously that's Catalyst Center, right? So we can see that Catalyst Center is actively reaching out to this device, which obviously it should be doing that. So let's refresh one more time, and we can see that now it's being managed, it's compliant, and it's in Catalyst Center. Now we have not assigned it to a site, okay? We'll revisit that. It's not really pertinent at the moment. But let's go ahead and do the same thing for Catalyst 9K-V02, but we're going to do it with SNMP v3. So if we head back to the command line, let's go ahead and get that configuration. So I'm going to just modify my little script here, and we'll go a little faster this time. So I'm going to paste in the host name. We go into the interface, we give it the .12 this time, we'll no shut it. Domain name, crypto key, generate, version 2, give it the username and password, we'll modify the VTY lines. Now, instead of doing SNMP v2, this time we're going to do SNMP v3. And we should be able to accomplish that with these 3 lines. Very simple. SNMP server group, we'll give it a group name of Catalyst Center Group v3 for auth. We're going to do the same thing for priv. And then we're essentially doing, if I hit the up arrow, it's not showing it. I'll just type it for you. So SNMP server, and then we're saying user, Mogi. We're specifying the group for v3. We're doing authorization SHA-1, Cisco Bang 23. We're saying privilege AES 256, Cisco Bang 23. Okay. So that's all it takes for v3. If we go back to Catalyst Center now, and we say add a device, again single. This time it's 172.16.11.12. Same CLI creds, right? Mogi, Cisco Bang 23. But this time for SNMP, we're going to select v3. We'll give it the username Mogi. Auth priv, because that's what we configured. SHA-1, because that's what we configured. Cisco Bang 23. But make sure you change AES to 256. Cisco Bang 23. So let's try to add that. All right, so this should take a minute or so. Let's refresh. If we go to the SSH session, we can see Catalyst Center is actively reaching out, right? Same thing we saw on switch 1. Let's refresh. We can see it's reachable. It's trying to sync. Okay, so it's actively synced, it's compliant, so everything looks good. So now we have two switches that are both in Catalyst Center. One is V2, one is V3, so that's good. Now let's go ahead and see what a discovery looks like. So I've already pre-configured 9K3 and 4 with essentially the configuration that you just saw me paste in on number 2. The only difference is the IP addresses are 13 and 14 respectively. So 13 and 14, okay? But they're both using V3 with the same exact auth priv configuration that we just did on 2. So let's go ahead and say add a device, but this time we're going to do a discovery, all right? So we can say the discovery job name is switches 3 and 4, whatever, right? You can see there's a couple types that you can run. You can do it based on Cisco Discovery Protocol, Link Layer Discovery Protocol. You know, I'm going to use IP address range. So I'm going to say 13 to 14. All right, I'm going to hit next. Oh, I already did this job, right? I did this prior to the recording. So let's just say switches 3 and 4, right? So we'll add CLI credentials, right? We're going to do job specific. So make these credentials specific to this job. We'll just call it Mogi, Cisco Bang 23. All right. And then we're going to specify SNMP v3, job specific, Mogi v3. We're saying auth and priv, Cisco Bang 23, SHA-1, Cisco Bang 23, but we need to make this 256. So we're just giving it CLI and SNMP v3. Let's hit next. It says, when do you want to schedule it, now or later? We're going to do now. So you can add them to a site. Okay, so let's have some fun. Let's say assign to site without a configuration preview. Let's go ahead and add them to the 9th floor, and we'll say next. Gives you a little summary. We'll say start discovery. In the meantime, let's go to the switches. Okay, so it's in progress. All right, so we can see Catalyst Center is reaching out to switch 3. We can see it's reaching out to switch 4. So that's good. We come back, we can see, okay, it looks like it finished. So let's go back to our inventory. And we can see that we have 2 more entries that are actively syncing. Okay, awesome. So we've now got 3 and 4 respectively, right? And we can now see the difference with the site. We can see that they're actually associated with the 9th floor at Pen 1 versus the first 2 that we manually discovered or discovered on a one-by-one basis. They're not assigned to a site because we didn't assign them to a site. Perfect. So once your devices are in here, you can now click on them, right? So if I click on like the first one, we can start to look at some of the details of this device, which is now you're starting to get into some of the benefits of using Catalyst Center, right? So this is the device 360 view that's loading as we speak. Okay, so you can kind of see your health snapshot, right? if there's any issues, right? You can see a little topology, which is kind of nice. Event viewer. So this is what starts to give you some of that, telemetry data that makes it worthwhile having your devices. If we look at the other view, we can actually see like the faceplate of the switch. So again, I'm running the 9 kVs, so they only have 8 ports affiliated with them. But we can see the version of the code. We can see IP address information, layer 2, right? So you can click through here. I'm not going to go through all this stuff. But the point is that once you have your devices in here, you can start to take advantage of some of the features that Catalyst Center has to offer. So with that, I'm going to end this video. As I said, this one was focused more on devices that are already in your environment and you're just looking to bring them into Catalyst Center. The part 2 of this video, I'll essentially write erase some of these switches and we'll just boot them from scratch, but we'll see what it looks like from a plug and play perspective where we rely on the DHCP options. So I'll go into that on the next video, but I hope this has been informative. I hope you got something out of it. Thank you very much, and I will see you on the next one.